Okay, let's see what. Make sure it's working now. Okay. I don't know what happened. I've been having trouble with some OBS recently. Wow, perfect rolled temerity? That's pretty good. Definitely not going to go for basic skill. Damage off Berserking. I'll have to look up all the different affixes you can get for Barbarian.
Not while I'm in town.
Okay.
Not while I'm in town.
Well, let me downsize my, just pull my camera down a little bit. There we go. That's better.
Fight hard, eh? Make the devils pay.
Okay. Now I can actually type back. I need to get a better layout for this thing. Let me turn my... We are back. Hopefully it doesn't lag like that again. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with my OBS, but it's been acting funky. Just gonna go ahead and throw on. There's that aspect that gives me more bleed damage while I'm in think I'll put that on my necklace. That's fine.
Such poor equipment. Let me help. Ah, how nice.
Save the villagers. Back to it. Let's go. We need a potion. I need to farm up some more of these potions too. That way I can get a little more XP.
I need time to do that. Not ready yet. I must wait.
Should be good now. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your patience. Should be good now. I'm not exactly sure what's been going on with OBS over the past couple days, but it's been acting kind of funky. I'll have to maybe re-download it or something tonight or whenever I get off stream.
I need more time.
But what I was saying before my stream got all messed up, I was basically just saying like they need to add more cosmetics to the game, and they have a great art department. They do a great job. A lot of creative people there. It would be really nice to see them add a lot of that stuff into the game
I must wait.
instead of having to pay. I don't mind having some cash shop stuff. That's cool, but at least put some cool stuff in the game. Even the horse you get for killing Uber Lilith is pretty ugly. Thing is ugly. I gotta get more fury generation, and I gotta get more survivability. I think having the fury generator after a crit hit is gonna be good. Let's see what I got. Just a couple more. Get one more survivor. One more survivor, then I can go to the tree. I love that explosive interaction there with the accursed touch.
must wait.
You get so many. You get so many keys from doing the blood harvest event, the big one. Man, those little hornets are no joke, man. Little machine gunners. Oh, what the? My freaking head was itching, yo. Come on, I need a cooldown. Push these guys together. Die.
I need more time.
Dude, am I lagging again? What's going on?
I'm not ready yet.
Usually don't have this issue.
I need more time.
Yeah, let's go back to the tree.
Not while I'm in town. It is done.
Let's go for some boots. I think I need a good pair of boots. I think if I plan on using a whirlwind build, I need the boots with extra charges. Typically, I like the attack or evade cooldown, but those aren't too bad. I'm never a big fan of anything that makes me stand still. I hate that stuff. Feels like such a disadvantage, especially because of all the ground AoEs in the game. And the fact that the enemies move incredibly fast in the end game and there's really no effect on them when you use a slow. It never seems like they're really that slow. Movement speed, damage reduction. 2 ranks to cut to the bone passive. What's that? Cut to the bone passive. Cut to the bone. Sounds like... I'm missing it. Where's this cut to the bone passive? Oh, maybe it's over here. Ah, there it is. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely use that. That's actually pretty good for what I have. +1 to defensive skills. Am I using any defensive skills? Just stomp, I think. It's actually a pretty good necklace. They got a lot of berserking duration. I think I'll go ahead and equip these. Just because I think the berserking duration will be useful. Seems like what you'd want on a barbarian, right? More berserking duration. That's a lot of duration, too. 20% at base. That's crazy. They really give you a lot to stay in berserking.
The forge is ready for whatever you need.
I feel like this is. I feel like the cohesiveness of the barbarian is what the druid is missing. I feel like they have too many different damage buckets for druid. Could be wrong.
Never seen something finer.
30%. That's crazy. That is such a significant amount of increase to your berserking duration.
Cannot salvage that.
Ruin all
What am I doing? I'm hitting all kinds of random buttons. I'm looking to upgrade my amulet, and I'm at the wrong guy. Do I have any Let me go to a jeweler real quick. I don't even know if I have anything to add a socket to my stuff. I gotta farm up some of the hell tides.
I have many fine pieces. Rare and
I only got 3. Well, that sucks. Oh well. Let me level up my necklace to get some movement speed. And then I will, whenever I guess a hell tide pop. Oh, well, never mind, there is one. Only 16 minutes though. I guess I could go grab up some stuff from the hell tide. Wouldn't be a bad idea. Hey, what's up, Charles? How you doing, brother? Happy New Year, my man.
Not while I'm in town.
We are just trying to level up this barbarian here in normal mode. So that way I have it all ready for season 3. I still have to do all my renown grind, but I'm not gonna bore you guys with renown grind. I'll do some nightmare dungeons. That'll help give me some renown.
I'm low on fuel. I'm not ready yet.
How was your first day of the brand new year? I worked out late. That's what I did today. I let my wife take a nap. Then I worked out late while my son was trying to throw stuff at me. And now I'm streaming. I'll probably make a video tomorrow, but I don't know. I'm gonna be pretty busy. Maybe I'll stream tomorrow when I get home and get everything done for the day. Yeah, bro. You know I gotta go. Have to go with the war. If you're gonna play a barbarian, there's only 2 types of barbarians I like. Okay, 2 types, and it's mainly because Diablo 3 was my real entry to the Diablo series, and it's gonna be the Whirlwind Barb, and it's gonna be the Charge Barb. Okay, if they ever add to the season a way to make a Charge Barbarian, it's game over, bro. Life is complete. I'm making a Charge Barb. But yeah, gotta go with the Whirlwind. Gotta go with the Charge Barb if they have one. I don't know yet though. I play everything blind, so I'm not using any kind of guide. So don't spoil it for me. If there's a Charge Barb, it's possible.
I need time to do that.
I'm trying to make like a bleed, some kind of bleed whirlwind build. Something I thought was really nice is all the Paragon board layouts are exactly the same. I'm assuming that every class now has the same Paragon board layout. Or I should say shape layout. I don't know. Whatever. They all look the same, is what I'm saying. They have different things on them, but they're all laid out pretty much the same. So it should be really easy transitioning from different classes now. I didn't realize that. Because I've only ever played Druid hardcore since the game launched. The Leap Quake, yeah, that was a fun build. I know that, I think it was like the Charge Barb, and there was a Leap build that was, when I played, I can't remember what season it was, but I believe it was like a Charge Barb and an Elite build that was the best builds, and then shortly after that, when that season ended, they added like a ton of power to the set that gave you whirlwind damage, and it was more or less like you now rended the enemies and it caused you a ton of damage, and then whirlwind like took off like a rocket, and that became like the most powerful barbarian build until I stopped playing. I can't remember though. It's like season 24, 20, 23 or 24, something like that. But I only ever played Xbox, and Xbox was, all the leaderboards on Xbox were just awful.
I'm not ready.
Ooh. Leapquake's a pretty decent build this season, right? I think it was. I think I heard some people were using that. I know everybody's using Hodobar just because it's so insanely powerful. I thought I heard some decent stuff about Leapquake. I don't really like doing these events anymore. Is everybody that is here aware of Screaming Helltide Veins? Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Sounds, so what do you think about the Barbarian class overall, excluding Hodabarb? Like, excluding anything that's currently, like, overtuned or broken, how do you feel like the other builds for Barbarian kind of stack up compared to other classes? Excluding, like I said, excluding broken builds. because I'm always interested to see. It's just, it's so hard to know. Like, from a druid perspective, I feel like, you know, I feel like Pulverize is in a good place. I feel like Lightning Storm needs a pretty decent sized buff. I outlined some ideas I had in a recent video I made. The biggest issue that faces a lot of channeling builds, like Lightning Storm, or say for instance the Whirlwind. And I don't know if this is the same for keyboard and mouse, but I know because I use a controller that when you get stunned sometimes doing your channeling skill, they still have that bug that locks you in place and locks you out of using your channeling skill. And that's a big problem, especially if you're playing hardcore. I can't even tell you how many times I've died because of that bug. I mean, it's not like a super... it's not like a super lot amount of times, even that I don't think that's a correct percentage structure, but whatever. It's not a lot of times, but it's a sizable amount for the amount of times I've died in hardcore. Yeah, I could kind of see it, man, honestly. Like, I can kind of feel the tankiness. I put myself in really bad situations all the time just to kind of see where I'm at. And I feel like with Barb, I feel pretty strong.
I'm not ready yet.
How much more time? I think I can at least unlock one. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing about Barbarian is just the fact that they have so many weapon slots. And one of them is a two-hander, and you get that double effect if you're using an aspect, or you can use like two unique weapons that are really powerful. Just having so many aspects, because aspects are so powerful, man. But I think it's a unique way of making the class different.
Not ready yet.
I don't know exactly what they would do to balance it, though.
I need time to do that.
I mean, I'll just, like, for instance, okay? Like, the Druid's little mechanic they added in the Spirit Boons, which are pretty awful. You can either have a two-hand staff, or you can have, you know, two, you know, single hand. Well, you have a totem, and you can have a and you can have like a axe or a mace, which is unfortunate. I wish you could have a sword just so I could have the crit damage, but and then the Spirit Boons aren't really that good. I mean, the Spirit Boons are just like, here's a little bit of crit chance. Here, you know, maybe some crit damage, a little bit of damage reduction, you know, and the snake aspect is probably like the one that has, I would guess, some kind of unique mechanic to it, where you can have like masochistic, or you get some kind of healing back off of a lucky hit, or you can have I think it's called Calm Before the Storm, where you can reset your ultimate skill. But overall, like, if I didn't unlock that, and I just kind of didn't turn in my spirit boons, it wouldn't really change how my character plays. But I feel like Barbarian just has so much there because of the fact that, you know, you have two-hand slots, and then obviously the two single weapon slots, single hand weapon slots. That's a lot, man. That's really a lot, especially just because of how powerful the aspects are again.
I'm not ready yet.
So that's definitely... Yeah, so that's definitely something. I'm not sure what you are. Obsidian Slam. Remember, I'm playing this Barbarian blind. So if you know, I don't know anything about Barb. But oh, trying to read. I have all my chat down on my tablet because I don't know. So I'm trying to look down and read my chat while I'm doing this. When I do this in hardcore, it's pretty scary, but yeah. So I've noticed that about Barb's Paragon boards. They're just really. I'll tell you in just a second. So when I'm looking at the Paragon board. Like, take this Paragon board, for example. This is, I believe, the Thunderstruck board for Druid. And on this Paragon board, you get, like, I think it's, like, Storm Skill damage and then some kind of damage reduction here. But when you go over here, it starts saying, like, critical hit damage increase. Stuff like that. But this, for Barb, it's just straight, like, you get physical damage over time, physical damage over time, damage to bleeding enemies. It just seems like it makes more sense. I will say this though. I think the problem is with a lot of things with Druid is that when they went and they kind of rebalanced the game and changed how critical hit damage works and how vulnerability damage works, they didn't really do much to really update the values inside of the Paragon boards. I know they did add more to it, but it just doesn't feel that powerful. Just because critical hit damage doesn't really work the same way. Now I will say Druid has some nice glyphs. Druid does have some nice glyphs. I'm not killing this guy. Not anytime soon. I just don't want to give like a legitimate opinion on it yet, just because, like I said, I don't know Barb. I'm just learning Barb, and I don't know the best way I would work a Paragon board. And I definitely don't like to compare things to like Hoda Barb or anything, just because it wouldn't make any sense to compare it to something that's clearly not working as intended. I think I'm not going to get to spend any of these. Might get this one chest. Alright, let's see. Alright, I got it. A bit of a waste, but that's okay. Got a unique item. Yeah, it actually took me quite some time. It actually took me quite some time to get the perfect setup for my Paragon boards for my Stormclaw Druid build. Like, I must have went through several different iterations of it before I settled in. Oh, thanks, Charles, brother. I always appreciate the support, my man. I'm really trying to build a strong community of people that I actually interact with. And, you know, the most important thing for me is that you guys understand, like, I know there's a human behind there, you know, and I'm just trying to really build some kind of, you know, I don't know, positive thing. I promised my wife, I was like, I'm going to make something positive. You know, I'm trying to do something a little bit different. I know the internet can be a little bit feisty, but I definitely appreciate the support, brother. Absolutely, 100%.
I'm not ready yet.
And I always look at it like my job, you know, when I'm doing this stuff. Obviously, I want to have fun. I want to have a, you know, a great time. I want to invite everybody. Like, even right now, if you guys want to jump into the game, I'd love to play. Doesn't bother me at all. But if you guys ever feel like I'm not, you know, meeting the standard, you got to let me know. Tell me I'm not doing it right, because I will definitely listen. I think that's like one of the big things I want to. I'm always in my comment section. Even people who disagree with me, I'm always in my comment section. I'm always talking as much as I can. Honestly, I try to answer every single comment that I see in some meaningful way. It's probably, you know, if I ever do get a lot of followers, it's probably going to be pretty hard for me to do that. But I'm going to try my best, you know. I'm going to put every attempt to make sure I can answer every single comment I see. You know, with that video critique, and I know he posted out in my comment section saying I took him out of context, but I didn't take anything he said out of context. I actually looked over the video several times, and in fact, I wasn't even going to make the video. If I can be honest, I actually slept on it. I think what frustrated me was when he called, like, the Diablo 4 audience simple. And I know people, I had a person try to say, like, oh, well, he wasn't meaning simple as in you're simple. He meant, like, casual. And I was like, you know, that's not, simple and casual are not synonymous, right? When you look at his video, he repeatedly refers to Diablo 4 as being something for the casual audience. And then at the end, he suddenly says a simpler audience. And there was just something about that didn't sit right with me. And there's been like that for, you know, every time you go into people who make Diablo 4 content, there's always someone in the comment section who's saying something rude. And I know that's the internet. It is what it is. I have really thick skin. Nothing anyone could ever say would, you know, change my opinion. You know, I'm willing to, just like I told him, I'm willing to come to his channel on his terms, not for my channel. I already know that it wouldn't do anything for my channel just because the internet consensus is Diablo 4 is the worst game in the world. But, you know, I would gladly go point for point on where he's incorrect. And it's not saying that I don't think Diablo 4 needs work, because it definitely does. But it's just this extreme exaggeration over the game, and then this constant, like, antagonistic behavior towards people who enjoy it that kind of frustrates me. Not for myself, because at the end of the day, it's all games, it's whatever. But when you start trying to tell people what they can and can't like, or when you try to tell someone that they made a bad purchase decision, and, oh, by the way, let me tell you how you can make a better one, I start to get a little bit, you know, I start to feel like, wait a second, like, who are you to tell people what they can and can't enjoy? Who are you to tell people that they made a bad purchasing decision? And it just becomes really, I don't know, it just feels a bit too much. And at some point in time, I'm just going to say something. I got to say something. I don't like that kind of attitude, that kind of weird gamer elitist attitude. It's super strange to me. Like, if you like mobile games, bro, you like mobile games. You know, if you like whatever game you like, it's whatever game you like. And It is what it is. It's not for me to understand. It's not for me to try to critique the thing that you like. If you don't, especially if I don't play it, that's another thing. If you don't play something, I get it from a content creator perspective because, you know, you make money and it's a lot of money. I think I seen an Asmongold video today. I mean, he just put Diablo 4 in the subtitle. It was like a PoE video. Some guy was confirming something about the beta, and he, you know, put Diablo 4 in the title in the subtitle, and it's like, I get it from a content creator perspective, but is it necessary? Probably not. Like, why can't PoE just be PoE and PoE 2? Why can't it be exciting enough to not be like the Diablo 4 killer? Because honestly, people are still going to play both action RPGs. We need more action RPGs. There's not a whole lot of great ones, so I don't know. It just feels kind of too much at some point in time. I watched another guy's video. He was a smaller creator, bigger than me, but still a smaller creator. He was talking about, like, when he reviewed Diablo 4, he got just dogpiled. How people came to his channel and were just being absolutely rude to him, talking about how could he review it the way he did and give it a positive score. And it's like, why? Just, if you don't like a game, don't play it. You don't have to go to other people's channels and, like, with your pitchforks and go crazy at them. Some people can't handle that. Some people really take it personal. Me, I'm gonna argue with you back and forth just because I'm hard-headed. But going to other people's, you know, it's just kind of silly in my opinion. You can do whatever you want, but I will definitely say how I feel, and I'll definitely go right. I mean, it doesn't matter who the person is. Everybody's a human being. I will have that debate with anybody. Yeah, I mean, it's just silly. It's just silly. Like, I didn't understand why people like Minecraft. Yeah, when I was a kid, I'd never understood when people like Minecraft so much. It didn't make any sense to me. I was like, really? You like to just take blocks from here and put blocks over there? But people loved it. And it was an amazing game for a lot of people. A lot of people have great memories. And that's good enough. Like, I don't need an explanation. I don't need you to defend it. I don't need to trash your game that you enjoy. And something else that I kind of like, I know that people say, like, the monetization, the cash shop, things like that. But, you know, there are a lot of people who've spent thousands of dollars on PoE. Thousands of dollars. I mean, you can find threads all over the internet where people are talking about, I spent $2,000 on PoE. There are people who spent tens of thousands of dollars on PoE. And even in real world trading, which, you know, I think is, you know, against the terms of service and their game, but people still do it. People have spent thousands of dollars doing that. And it's like, okay, well, you got to make money. These companies got to make money. If you want a good game, they got to make money. It's like no one's really complaining about that.
I'm not ready yet.
So, I don't know. It just feels kind of weird. It feels super weird. But again, a lot of people hate Blizzard, so I feel like a lot of people have really deep emotional ties to their experiences growing up with Blizzard, and a lot of people enjoyed, like, I guess, BlizzCon and stuff. And I don't know, I didn't grow up with a lot of money, and I didn't have those opportunities, and so I never really had that kind of attachment to a company. I never really got to experience something like that. So I'm sure it's warranted. I'm sure it is in some way, shape, or form warranted. So, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I don't expect anything, you know. Nuance isn't necessarily the most welcomed thing on the internet. People love to pick sides. There's always this constant idea that there has to be a villain in every kind of story, and there has to be a good guy, a bad guy, and I don't know. It's just super weird to me. It's like attacking people for liking a game. Super strange. Oh yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Season 3, my man. Season 3, I'm looking forward to Season 3 just because they did definitely exceed my expectations for Season 2. I did not expect them to do as many things as they did in Season 2. I didn't expect them to make as many good changes as they made in Season 2. So I feel like Season 3 is going to be really good. Now, it doesn't mean that it will be. But I want to feel like that, you know, because the developers have been listening so much, and it seems like they're taking things really seriously, that I'm hoping that Season 2 is at least as good, Season 3 is at least as good as Season 2. And if it's better than Season 2, even better. I like the fact that they're doing what they're doing with the Codex, even though, like, again, giving no excuses. That should have been in the game day one. Like, that system's been implemented in Diablo Immortal. That system was implemented in Diablo 3. And everybody loved that system. And there was no reason why they had to make a system like the Aspect system work the way it did. Especially with the limited amount of stash space that we currently have. It's not game breaking. It's not something that's going to stop me from playing the game. But it should have been implemented. I'm glad they are going to put it into the game. But they've been pretty tight-lipped. I know they're doing the Gauntlet, which I'm really excited for, as long as they, again, like I said previously, as long as they take balancing serious when it comes to leaderboards. I'm excited for the Gauntlet. I hope they do it well, obviously. I hope they do it well. Because if they don't do it well, I'm definitely going to make a video about it. But, for everything else, I haven't heard too much, so I'm hoping they have a lot of things like in the bag for the campfire chats. I hope they have a big surprises for people. What is this guy? Oh, grotesque deader. I was like, I ain't seen a werewolf that big. I just hope they have a lot of surprises. And I hope they have another lengthy set of patch notes with, 2 or 3 campfire chats. But I will definitely, regardless, I will be making builds for it. I will be doing the content for it. I will be doing whatever guides I think will help the community out. And then I will definitely be making whatever content I feel, I will give a thorough opinion on it and say where I think things could be better and say where I think they did a good job. I just think my overall feeling is they have to do better balancing in Season 3. Like, one season where you have a bunch of overpowered stuff is fine. When you start saying, like, every season you're going to have this, like, constant, overpowered, broken build system that you're not actually going to go back and fix, I mean, that's not good for your game. So, hopefully they take balancing seriously. I know a lot of people are like, they don't want to have, like, their power taken away, but I was talking with Athos about it, and, he's like, he basically has the same opinion as I do. Not saying it's the right opinion, but, if you don't properly balance your game and people are constantly one-shotting everything, it doesn't matter how much, in-game content you create for the community when they can just blow through it in seconds, or less than a second. Something I was pointing out, and I'll probably make a video on this. I'll probably actually make a video on, because something that bugs me is when people say that the bosses are brain dead. And it's like, they're not actually brain dead. If you go and watch Wadijo complete some of these bosses, and I'm actually going to make a video on it too, where I do Uber Lilith with all the mechanics and everything with this character. when you go watch his videos, the bosses do have a ton of mechanics, and they're actually really interesting. Even Uber Lilith, people will get upset because, you know, well, these things match the color of this of the arena you fight her in, but really it's just you need to pull her away from the center of the arena so that way it doesn't, you know, cluster your screen with the color of the waves. But there are a lot of really interesting mechanics with the bosses, and it just gets trivialized. Like, all of the content is trivialized. You can just one-shot everything. And it doesn't matter if a developer spent tons of time, you know, creating a really interesting boss with really cool mechanics when, you know, you can just kill it with one bonk of a hammer. So it's just really important that for the health of the game in the future, you got to balance stuff. And if you want to put out in-game content, it's never going to be enough if every player can just kill everything in the blink of an eye. Let's go ahead and equip that. That's a lot of damage reduction while you have Iron Skin on. Seems like a really good... Seems like a really good aspect. Something I also hope they do with the aspects is, instead of this like sliding scale value that you get with each aspect, I hope they just, for instance, like using Iron Skin as an example, when they change it to where you can put your aspects in the codex, I hope when you go to the codex, you just get 28%. There's no reason for it to be 18 to 28. You know what? I think that would be interesting too. Honestly, I don't know if they're going to give us a lot of access to Uber Uniques. They probably will, just because it's been really loved by a lot of people this season. I think it's one of those things where they should have stuck with their hard stance on, like, we don't want people making builds around Uber Uniques. I think it's I think they should have given people the opportunity to get them. Definitely more so than it was when the game first launched. But now they've kind of put themselves in quite a pickle, because now people are going to want those Uber Uniques, man. They're going to want them. They're going to want to play with them. And they're going to want to get them for drops. But I think it's more of an issue of making the standard equipment more exciting. You know, making the standard legendary equipment more exciting. Making the standard regular Uniques more exciting. And I think if they can do that, then people won't care too much if they don't get an Uber Unique. Yeah, I know it has a short uptime. I'm just saying it looks interesting. I don't know if you can manage that uptime better. It doesn't seem... I mean, a 28% damage reduction is a lot. I'll keep the aspect, but I don't know. I'd have to look through... I'd have to look through everything.
Here are the reclaimed constituents.
It doesn't seem like there's too many aspects that affect Iron Skin, and I don't know if you could... Seems like a relatively long cooldown on the skill. What is it? At base level. Well, it's not bad. 14 seconds for 5-second uptime. I think if I was running a non-channeling build, it would be easy to maintain that, just because you could get like hectic and cool your skills down faster with your basic attacks. If you could make like a basic attack build or something like that. But I don't think it would be good for this build, just because you're using channeling skills. Let me think about that. We have skills that provide unstoppable. Other than your basic... I think other than your basic shareable skills, you don't have... I mean, not your skills, sorry. I think other than your basic shareable aspects between classes, I don't think there is anything that gives you unstoppable.
There is magic in all things. Let me show you. Bright aura. Brighter soul.
You go ahead and level these up a little bit.
Not while I'm in town.
Well, thanks for that. That means a lot, for real. I definitely appreciate your support. Let's see. Just gonna upgrade my stuff real quick and jump back out there to start leveling up.
Not while I'm in town.
Yeah, I don't think we have any aspects that give us unstoppable. That are class specific, I should say. Just to add that in there. Wow, max stacks, that's pretty nice. Yeah, I think that's the only skills that we have. I think that's our only access to unstoppable outside of like aspects. Well, I think there's an aspect on the boots that's shared between all classes. I can't remember the name of it, that gives us unstoppable if we take if we become injured, but that's between all classes. So actually something about that Athos is I actually think they need to roll back the nerf they made to Grizzly Rage. I think they need to give us that unstoppable duration while you're in the ultimate skill. I just feel like there's too many there's still too many hard CCs that can get applied to your character. And one of the significant aspects of Grizzly Rage is just the stacking damage multiplier the longer you're in Grizzly Rage, and it's like it's kind of counterintuitive to constantly reset your Grizzly Rage, and it just constantly resets that stacking damage multiplier. Yeah, it definitely needs to be rolled back. I think if you put enough... See, the thing is with Druid is you have to invest so much just to do any specific thing, right? If you want to keep up your... dire form, your dire bear, your dire wolf, you have to invest a lot to do it. I mean, you're basically making a whole build around it. And we don't have anything like... Look, for instance, Barb has crazy amounts of berserking duration. Like this alone, just at level 3 on my gear, 23%. Then you have on my pants, you're almost 30% berserking duration. That's crazy. I think the bigger problem with Druid is just it has too many damage buckets. You got lightning damage, you got physical damage, earth skill, storm skill. Companions are basically locked in their own weird place. They're trying to make it where certain skills only affect werewolf form and certain skills only affect werebear form. Certain passives, I should say, certain passive skills only affect certain forms, and it just becomes like really hard to get a build that really feels like it's doing a lot without there being an overpowered mechanic involved. Like, could you imagine, just for instance, could you imagine where Druid would be at this season if, say, for instance, the overpower mechanic wasn't as strong as it is? Because even using a dire grizzly form with overpower, what am I saying? The stupid ground slam. For the life of me, I'm too tired. I should be in bed. Save me here. What's the name of the ground pounding skill for the Druid? I should know this. This is I play it the entire time. Well, not the entire time. But anyway, even with the overpowered mechanic the way it is this season, those builds aren't even clearing like super high tier AOZ. Yeah, there's just too many. And you know what's even worse though? What's even worse about the druid is that I feel like they haven't went through and make sure all of your damage multipliers apply to those skills. So there's a lot of problems with like damage while in werewolf form, or because there's different damage buckets for storm skills versus lightning skills. When you have when it should probably all be like lightning damage. I don't know. Probably would be best if it was just all lightning damage. But there's a lot of passives where you can get like an extra bolt of lightning. And one of the passives is like charged atmosphere, right? Every so many seconds you get an additional bolt of lightning that strikes an enemy. That thing doesn't seem like it gets any damage modifiers. That thing feels like it hits like a wet noodle. It doesn't do anything. And you could have like a fully tuned lightning storm. Yeah, pulverize. You saved me. Coming through with it. You saved me. Pulverize. The pulverize wouldn't even be that good if it wasn't for the overpower mechanic being so overtuned. But it just feels like they haven't done enough to make sure all of the damage multipliers are actually affecting all of the skills. And that's probably class-wide. There's so many things that are just like little bugs, little things that don't seem to kind of be working correctly.
I need time to do that.
Guy's saving my life over here. Played druid the entire time. Although my favorite build is definitely not pulverized. I like werewolf builds, but sitting here struggling to remember to pulverize. I'm getting old, man. I'm getting old. I've actually had that question a couple, from a couple people, like, hey, how is overpower on druid, just because that's pulverized? And I'm just like, not even close, man. Not even close. In terms of AOZ, however, I will say this: it's still overpowered. Like, pulverize, everything in the game right now is overpowered. Like, you can one-shot Uber Lilith, completely bypass all of her mechanics with almost every single build right now. So I hate comparing things to AOZ. Yeah, so definitely there are quite a few, maybe not even just fusing aspects, but just making them better. I don't know. I feel like maybe not even the aspects. I in my video breaking down the changes I'd like to make to Druid, I felt like they just need to change a lot of the different passives to work for both Werebear and Werewolf, right? Or to work for your entire Druid. So one of the points I made was like Digigrade Gate, right? So Digigrade Gate for the Druid, and it's pretty terrible, but I love movement speed, so I always pick it up. It's funny because I love to move fast, but my favorite classes are Barbarian and Druid, and they're always waddling around in the beginning of the game. But taking Digigrade Gate, for example, right? For a 3-point skill investment, right? A 3-point skill investment. Am I saying that right? 3 skill point investment. I'm telling you, I'm smarter than this. 3 skill point investment. You only get 9% movement speed, and that's while in werewolf form. That's the most trash thing I've ever seen. Just using Barbarian, for example. 3 points and you get 12% movement speed no matter what. You have a Druid, 3 points, you get 9% movement speed, and that's only while you're in werewolf form. I'm like, huh? Like, why? Why not just give us like 15% movement speed across the class? Like, keep the theme of it being a werewolf. I don't mind that. I actually like the whole thematic aspect of it, but just give us 15% movement speed. Another thing, movement speed they need to stop. Movement speed needs to be baked into your leveling process. You need to be moving faster by the time you reach level 100, and you shouldn't have to invest so much for movement speed. I mean, for the love of God, it's just movement speed. Can we just have some movement speed? But yeah, that's one of the examples. It's like 9% movement speed while you're in werewolf form, 3 skill points. It's like, who thought of that? Who thought of that?
I forge more than I'll
I feel like the person who writes some of these things are straight up bipolar, and I don't mean that as an insult for anybody who has who's bipolar, but just for instance, right? Just for instance, even with Barb, and I know Barb has got some cojones, but let's just read Disembowel real quick, okay? So you're making a bleed build. Fantastic. It says, for every 5 willpower purchased within range, you deal, an additive increase to your bleeding damage. Really cool. I like that, right? Additional bonus. Killing a bleeding enemy has a 10% chance to reduce your cooldowns of your non-ultimate active cooldowns by 1 second. Can you please tell me who wrote that? Because they need to be fired. Like, who in their right mind sat down with a piece of paper, wrote that out, and was like, look at this, guys. Great idea. Nobody. There's nobody, bro. Like, there's no way you're telling me someone wrote that out and they were like, good job, John. You did a great job, brother. You brought it. This is wonderful. 10% chance to get a 1 second cooldown on your non-ultimate skills if you kill a bleeding enemy. Give this man a raise. I'm like, come on, guys. Come on. You can't tell me you read that and you were like, that's a good idea. It just, things like that. I'm just like, sometimes I feel like, can we just bring back just a little bit, not a lot of bullying, but just a tad bit, maybe? Maybe just be like, hey, man, that sucks. It's not a good idea. Not in a harsh way, but just maybe give John some constructive criticism. Be like, hey, bro, it's not a good idea. I don't know. That just sounds crazy to me. It's just things like that that makes me really wonder. I mean, I don't want to speak on like how difficult it is to develop a game because Lord knows I'm not in that career field. But I'm sure it's a very high stress environment. I'm used to high stress environments myself, but everybody is reacts differently to pressure. But my goodness, guys. I don't know who came up with that. Yeah, bro, that's exactly how I feel, my man. I feel like there's no oversight. I feel like, and I'm not, man, I love the game. I enjoy this game, and I'm going to be fair, and I'm going to give it constructive criticism. I feel like that there's like 15 different departments. They're all doing things. And when they come together, no one reads over it all and says, does this make sense? They're just like, hey, I finished this. Hey, I finished this too. Okay, cool. Put it all together. Bam, release it. It's like, that's how it does seem to feel. It feels like there's no oversight. It feels like there's nobody who's kind of in leadership, looking over everything, who really understands the direction and is saying, hey, this doesn't seem right. Maybe we can do this here. That's, I think, the biggest issue that they face is kind of having that, I don't know, maybe that voice in the room that says, you guys, this is not good. Yeah, the damage on Tuesday. You gotta love that meme, man. The damage on Tuesday. It's so true. It is true. Too many conditionals. Too many conditionals. Way too many conditionals. And I'm not a big fan of like just flat increases to damage. I don't mind that they're big. Oh, my bad. I'm not a big fan of just flat increases to damage, but it's funny because I'm so used to playing hardcore. I actually felt like I would lose my character there. I don't know why. But I'm not a big fan of flat increases to damage. So maybe they could, I don't know. I like give and takes. Like I said earlier, I like give and takes. So there's a passive skill on Druid, and it's what does it say? It's one of the very first ones in the core skill tree. Can't remember what it's like. I don't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but there's a passive skill in the core skill tree for Druid. And what it does is increase your overall resource cost. Increase your overall resource cost, but increase the multiplicative damage of your core skills. And I think that's a great way of giving you something and taking something away. So, in my opinion, having that kind of having those kinds of things in the game would be really fun. Having something where, like, okay, maybe you get more damage here, but you lose survivability there, or you know, this costs. Even using Barb, for example. Let me go ahead and enter this dungeon so I can get away from all these enemies. I want to use Barb here. Come here, Barb. Go away. I'm like, why is my guy... Get out of here. Okay. Alright. Here we go. Let's go, lady. So, even using Barb, for example, one of the coolest ideas I've seen down here, and I don't know if it's super usable. I'm sure it is once you get a lot of Fury generation or something like that. And I'm sure you probably already know what I'm going to say, but not this one. This one, Unbridled Rage. You get a massive boost to your core skill damage, but you get a massive boost, a massive increase to the cost of your core skills. I like that stuff, man. It's simple, but it's a good idea. You have to take both things into consideration when you choose it, right? Do you need more damage? Are you lacking sustain? You know, do you need some kind of way to generate more fury? I think it's a great way of creating something simple, but makes the player have to think about their build. Stuff like that needs to be more in the game, you know. Stuff like this is a bit too simple, in my opinion. Like, you're just, oh yeah, your berserking is increased, and you also get more multiplicative damage while berserking. So I would like to see more give and takes. More give and takes. Not overly complicated, but definitely ways of making the average player think about their build and whether or not it will be worth it, or whether they can sustain while using that specific thing. Just gonna do some of these vampiric quest line. I want to get Ravenous. I haven't unlocked everything yet. It's so funny. I've gone this entire time without using a potion. Let me go ahead and use my last potion there. Yeah, my idea for movement speed, though, was that instead of it being attached to a stat or something like that, my idea was, like, give the player... So, every player, every class, gets a 0.5% movement speed increase for every level you gain. That way, when you hit 100, level 100, you're moving at 150% movement speed. And I think that would make every single class feel that much better. Because a lot of things that push players, and if you look at the numbers they released, a lot of people play Sorks. And the reason why a lot of people play Sorks, I mean, obviously people love the wizard classes, love the Sork classes, and they typically do a lot of damage, and they do damage from range, which makes them appealing, but they usually have high mobility. And one of the biggest complaints I have about Druid and Barbarian is they need more mobility in the early game. And I think just baking that movement speed into your leveling process would make it that much better. And then you could also not have to invest so much in movement speed when you get to the end game to reach cap. Because I just don't feel like there's a need to make movement speed so bad. Or not necessarily bad, but be something that you have to invest heavily into. It's just movement speed, for crying out loud. everything in the game moves super fast anyway, and we can't zoom our cameras out, so we're always close to everything. Also, I said earlier, they need to nerf the obelisks. They need to nerf the obelisks here that deal damage. Those lightning obelisks deal way too much damage. I think the best way they could nerf these electrified obelisks is if they made them attackable. So that way when the enemies would summon the obelisk, you could actually deal damage to it and get it off of the field of play for for the character. Oh yeah, I like that too. Like this skill type. So like, that's a perfect way of adding something. So something to talk about the Druid and Companions. If you ever play Druid with Companions, if you ever use the Storm Companion pants, which in my opinion are the greatest pants to ever not be the greatest pants. I had like crazy ideas for the Storm Companion pants when the game first released, and the fact that the developer didn't have the creativity in my mind really shattered my heart into small pieces. That's a bit excessive, but if you ever play Companions on Druid and you use Storm Companion pants, you'll realize the real problem with Companions is that their damage doesn't scale with other attributes. Because immediately when you equip that, your werewolves or your regular wolves become not insanely powerful, but insanely more powerful than what they are. So yeah, I'm a big fan of turning one type of damage into another type of damage. One of the coolest aspects on Druid that, again, is turned out to not be so good is the aspect that allowed werebear skills and werewolf skills to interact with Nature's Fury. But unfortunately, they don't actually interact with Nature's Fury, where your werewolf skills cool down your werebear skills and vice versa. It just still only cools down your lightning and your earth skills, or your storm skills and your earth skills. So I'm definitely a big fan of those types of things. That's why one of my favorite builds, if not my favorite, actually my favorite build this season, was Stormclaw, and that's why you see a lot of different videos for Stormclaw on my channel. Ain't good enough for you. Yeah, that's a perfect example. Just and see how you had to think about it though, right? You were like, I'm not sure if Unbridled Rage is going to be good. I'm not sure if this skill will work out right. I'm not sure. But then you used it, you built around it, and you found out, holy cow, it's actually really, really good and really fun to play with. And it didn't take you forever, but it was nice and it was rewarding when you figured everything out. I like that, and I think that is a good way, again, of keeping something simple by design, but allowing it to be complex enough that the player has to think about it, and that once they figure it all out, there's a big reward at the end. And I think they do a good job of that when they do a good job, and they do a really bad job when they do a really bad job. That's the unfortunate part.
I can feel the blood within you. It's like no other.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you can destroy the fire. Now, that's exactly that. I mean, it's like you're reading my mind. So you can destroy the fire orb, but if you don't and you stand in it, it does a ton of damage. Well, the obelisk does a ton of damage, and you can't destroy it. And what's even weirder is that the obelisk shows up on your mini-map. I believe it's the obelisk. Actually, I don't know now. I'll have to look at it next time. But I'm pretty sure the obelisk shows up on your map as an enemy. So you'll have little red dots that show the obelisk, but yet you can't actually deal damage to it. I feel like that's just an oversight. I could be wrong, but it's definitely overtuned, and it does way too much damage.
Blood like no other, indeed. It won't matter.
Yeah, see, and I mean, think about the builds you could make then with werewolf and werebear, and then shape shifting, and then the zenith ring. Think about that. You could probably make some crazy builds. Just making that small change, and it would be a heck of a lot of fun. But again, I'll probably go over that when I make the video on what I would change about the aspects. But yeah, again, I just feel like it's a bit of an oversight. They didn't really... Honestly, I feel like the Druid class in general, they just... It was like fan service that they didn't take serious. They knew people wanted to play Druid. It wasn't in D3. People really wanted it. But when they put it in to D4, it just... I don't know. Maybe they didn't really think about it too hard when they actually put it in. Because, I mean, that's how I get with a lot of things. Because if you take out any broken builds, right? So the problem I had in Season 1 with Druid is that everybody was playing Bulwark, and everyone was like, oh, Druid's overpowered. But it's just the fact that Bulwark was broken at the time. And then they fixed Bulwark, and then they fixed Rampaging Werebeast, which had an infinitely stacking crit multiplier, which didn't make crit damage multiplier, which didn't make any sense. But they fixed that. They fixed Bulwark. And then what are we left with? Well, in my opinion, probably the most balanced class for the content, but what everybody else is going to perceive as incredibly weak outside of Poison Shred. And all Poison Shred does is get insane damage procs off of Blurred Beast, which is another bugged aspect. So... So I think that... and that's again going back to another reason why I feel like if you don't fix bugs and you don't balance everything, how can you balance a game if, like, say for instance, take Barbarian for example. Is Barbarian overpowered, or is the overpower mechanic with Barbarian overpowered, right? So if I go through and I nerf Barbarian across the board, did I really balance the class correctly, or did I kind of overreact to the fact that there's a broken mechanic in the game that's stacking too high with one specific aspect of the Barbarian? So I just hope that they have the clarity when they're class balancing to understand that there are just things that are overtuned and there are things that are broken, and that the whole class itself, all the builds that you can make with the class, you know, by far are not broken and are working as intended, and the class itself doesn't need a massive nerf. So yeah, I mean, that's I just think that if we have, like, I'm good with Season 2. I'm happy with Season 2. They did a good job with Season 2. I like the fact that they're going to be making a lot more changes to the game, making the game more accessible, making it more fun, adding a lot more quality of life. But I feel like ultimately, and this is something I don't see a lot of people talking about, unfortunately, they're focusing on things that don't even exist or things that are minimal. If they don't do proper balancing, we're just going to have season after season after season of broken builds, and no one's going to be around because you're just killing everything so fast that you complete all the content. And I mean, is it really fun to hit Duriel one time, maybe, you know, hit Duriel one time 1,700 times to farm Uber Uniques? I wouldn't think it would be fun. I mean, I'm sure somebody likes it out there, but I think the majority of people probably don't find it to be too entertaining. There was a person who commented, like, on one of the videos, they were basically just echoing the sentiment I have. It's like the core game here, there's so much potential for like a really fulfilling experience for a, you know, more casual action RPG. They're just kind of like missing the mark in a lot of areas. And hopefully, like I said, Season 2's been really great. I was really surprised by the patch notes. I think they were pretty extensive compared to what I expected them to be. And hopefully in Season 3, there's exactly that much, you know, effort put in, if not more. And then I think by the time that expansion drops, we might be playing if things continue on the upward trajectory that they're in, by the time that expansion drops, especially if they put that expansion on Game Pass, which I hope they do with Microsoft now, I hope they put the expansion on Game Pass. It would be such a big deal for the community. I think we're going to be playing a significantly different game. I don't even know why I'm killing this stuff. I just want to do one last, get one last part of the vampire quest done. Man, I love the aesthetic, bro. The aesthetic of the barbarian is insane.
Keep an eye out for intact remains in the area. Best to mediate the risks and take only its skull as well. Then we just need potent blood. Dear
Another thing I hope they do in the future, and they won't probably do it in the direct future because it's not too big of a deal, but I hope they make more activities for your clans. That way you can get more involved with your clans and stuff. That would be really cool. Some kind of clan leaderboard, clan bosses, stuff like that. You as well, Charles. I'm probably going to get off here in a second anyway. Just kind of want to finish up this last vampiric quest here. And then I got a busy day. So you have a good night, brother. Oh, you're out too, Athos? Yep, absolutely, brother. You have a good night as well. Happy New Year to both you guys. And I will probably see you, if you're on, if you see me on tomorrow, I'll probably stream a little bit. It might be late at night, just like tonight, though. Yo, another thing I need to do is put a timer on these guys with the suppressor fields. I feel like they should have like a timer. Like a period of time where they can have the suppressor dome up, and then a period of time where it drops, and it's kind of like goes back and forth between those two things. I don't think I have all my vampiric powers activated. Woo. I'm always missing one chalice. Do I have too many? Skulls? Too many skulls. Guess I could take off the ones on the chest plate. There we go. You know, I remember when I was getting into season 2, I thought for sure this Hunter Eris chick was gonna be like our companion for the entire thing. Thought we would have her like run around with us doing all the content. Let's get this. There it is. I'll go ahead and finish this dungeon just so I can get the renown. Man, I love that. Love that interaction with the explosive skeleton deals from cursing enemies. It looks so cool when you stomp. Like a giant bomb goes off. Oh, what was that? I'll take a war sword. No, 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 no. We don't want it. Okay. The Blood Bishop. They should change the speed on that Dust Devil that comes out from your whirlwind. It's a little too fast. Why does it shoot out so fast? Okay. Let's go turn this in and then that will be it. Oof. The lag.
All right, it's time.
It's time.
Put the skull in that basin.
You got it.
Release the valve at the blood well to fill the basin, and we'll get started. Your power's growing. You're sure you aren't feeling anything strange?
That dude's got a big head, bro. I mean, look at the size of his head versus the size of my head.
If this is another
And I'm not talking about my real life head.
alive? Yes. Will. He must be.
Boy, I need some water. Come on, let's hurry up and get this done.
Something's coming. I've seen that barrier before. It's not coming down. We need to get out. Now.
Cool, let's go. Let's go.
It takes a unique.
Okay. Oh yeah, wait. Gotta do the tome. That's right. Do the tome. And then I get ravenous. Yes. Alright. No more undying. Need 2 more. Five, and then 2 skulls. And then we'll just go 1 more skull. That should be good. And then for my glyph, I think I'll use the critical strikes generate 3 fury. Because I definitely will need fury generation. Dexterity. I don't know if this is a good dex. Yeah, this is a pretty good dex board. 2, 3, 4. Maybe I would go out here. Pick up this. There's no dexterity over here anyway. Damage reduction from... See, that's another thing. Damage reduction from bleeding enemies. Damage reduction from bleeding enemies. Just so perfect. Just makes sense. So much damage reduction. Alrighty, guys. Well, that is going to be it for me for the night. I will probably be back on tomorrow, like I said, but it is a busy day. So if you don't see me, I hope you guys are having a great day or a great night, depending on wherever you're from, and a great night or a great day and a great night tomorrow as well. So